Hello everyone, this is Priyanka KS studying a streaming test for the College of Engineering. Today in this video, we'll be looking into students' T distribution. Firstly, we'll see what is a student T distribution. The T distribution, also known as the student's T distribution, is a type of probability distribution that is similar to the normal distribution with its bell shape but has heavier tails. It is used for estimating population parameters for small sample sizes or unknown variances. T distributions have a greater chance for extreme values than normal distributions and as a result have fatter tails. The T distribution is the basis of computing test in statistics. Key takeaways. The T distribution is a continuous probability distribution of the Z score where the estimated standard deviation is used in the denominator rather than the true standard deviation. The T distribution, like the normal distribution, is bell shaped and symmetric, but it has heavier tails, which means that it tends to produce values that fall far and its mean from its mean. Tests are used in statistics to estimate significance. And then next comes, what does a T distribution tell you? Tail heaviness is determined by a parameter of the T distribution called degree of freedom, with smaller values giving heavier tails, and with higher values making the T distribution resemble a standard normal distribution with a mean of 0 and a standard deviation of 1. When a sample of n observations is taken from a normally distributed population having mean M and standard deviation D. The sample mean M and sample standard deviation D will differ from M and D because of the randomness of the sample. Example of how to use T distribution. Take the following example for how T distribution are put to use in a statistical analysis. First, remember that a confidence interval for the mean is in the range of values calculated from the data meant to capture population mean. This intervals m plus t into d divided by square root of n, where t is the critical value from the t distribution. For example, if we have sample of size n equals 20 items, then we calculate the degree of freedom as df equals n minus 1 equals, that is 20 minus 1, that will be 19. And we write the t distribution as t of 19. If the population standard deviation is not known, the error bound for the population mean is the format for the confidence interval. When calculating the error bound, the probability table for the student's t distribution can also be used to find the value of t. The table gives t scores and that correspond to the confidence level and degree of freedom. The t score is found where the row and column intersect in the table. Next, we'll move on to the t distribution versus normal distribution. Normal distribution are used when the population distribution is assumed to be normal. The t distribution is similar to the normal distribution, just with fatter tails. Both assume a normally distributed population. T distributions thus have the higher than normal distributions. The probability of getting values where very far from the mean is larger with the t distribution than a normal distribution. Next, we'll see what are the limitations of using t distribution. The t distribution can skew exactness relative to the normal distribution. Its shortcoming only arises when there is a need for perfect normality. The t distribution should only be used when the population standard deviation is not known. If the population standards deviation is known and the sample size is large enough, the normal distribution should be used for better results. What is the t distribution in statistics? The t distribution is used in statistics to estimate the population parameters for small sample sizes or under undetermined variances. It is also referred to as a student's t distribution. When should the t distribution be used? The t distribution should be used if the population sample size is small and the standard deviation is unknown. If not, then the normal distribution should be used. The t-distribution is most useful for small sample sizes when the population standard deviation is not known or both. As the sample size increases, the t-distribution becomes more similar to the normal distribution. The shape of the t-distribution depends on the degree of freedom. The curves with more degree of freedom are taller and have thinner tails. All three t-distributions have heavier tails than the z-distribution. Next, the following table gives confidence intervals, that is, values of x, such as the distribution function d r of x equals various probabilities of various small values of the number of degree of freedom. Let x be the normally distributed random variable with mean 0 and the variance sigma 2. Let y of 2 sigma 2 have the chi-squared distribution with n degrees of freedom, and let x and y be the independent. Then t equals x square root of n by y is distributed as students t with n degrees of freedom. The t distribution formula. The t distribution is the whole set of t values measured for every possible random sample for specific sample size or a particular degree of freedom. It approximates the shape on of normal distribution. Let x have a normal distribution with mean mu for the sample of size n, the sample mean x, and the sample standard deviation s. Then the t variable has student's t distribution with a degree of freedom, that is difference equals n minus 1. The formula of the t distribution is given by t equals x bar minus mu divided by s divided by the square root of n, where x is the mean of the first sample, mu is the mean of second sample, s by square root of n is the estimate of the standard error of difference between the means. Properties of t distribution. It ranges from minus infinity to plus infinity. It has the bell-shaped curve and symmetry similar to normal distribution. The shape of the t distribution varies with a change in degrees of freedom. The variance of the t distribution is always greater than 1 and is limited only to 3 or more degrees of freedom. It means this distribution has a higher dispersion than the standard normal distribution.